Welcome to Alternatives to AA. This is Joshua Robinson, and I've been 3 years sober.
And I'm Monique Robinson, and I'm 2 years sober. And we're here on a mission to help make the difficult journey of sobriety even easier to manage. Nobody in my world ever thought that I'd actually manage to be sober. So now we're taking what we've learned in the last decade to be able to help you too.
And we're not against AA. We just need to learn how to manage the other 23 hours of the day. From communication to relationships to self-care, we're going to show you how to cope when your triggers try to take you down.
Join us every Monday at 6 p.m. to uncover not only how to live without alcohol, but to thrive in sobriety and to swap out your addiction for a better life with the help of Alternatives to AA. So let's go.
Old times drinking.
No.
Really?
No, the second time with my arm, like I told you, I put my hands up to brace against the door that was swinging back to me, and it was really thin glass, and my hand just went through it.
Yeah.
The first time it happened, it was in the morning, and the person I was with at the time asked me to open up a window in the front of the house. It's an old house.
Okay.
So like the window sash, the sash is the part that slides up and down.
Yeah.
It was like painted shut, basically, right? And the windows had never been opened, really. But we were having like a party. There was people in there, so she asked me to open the window. I'm like, sure, no problem. So I'm pushing up on the window, and I can't, right?
And they push it too hard.
I pushed it too hard, and I was like, Brian, don't be a pussy. Just open the fucking thing. And I went right through.
Yeah.
And I have like a 3-inch scar on my elbow.
Oh, man.
And you can't feel it when you get cut with glass because it's so razor sharp.
Yeah.
I just looked at my elbow, and it was like filleted open.
Yeah.
Because when you bend your skin, right, I was like, oh shit, we have to go to the hospital now.
Whoops.
I grabbed an entire roll of paper towels.
Yeah.
And we were right down the street, obviously, from the medical center. Dude, could you imagine if I was like 30 miles from a hospital?
Yeah, scary.
Get out the sewing needle. They're going to stitch you up here. But yeah, that was really bad. Yeah. And because both arms went through, but this one had like a dagger in it, and it was like, like a fountain, you know? It's like, Jesus Christ. We're having a great day today. Like, why does this happen now? And I got to the hospital, and I was in the emergency room, but I needed attention then. I didn't have a tummy ache, and I was going to sit there for 3 hours until they could get to me. Like I was bleeding all over the floor. So I'm sitting there. I'm trying to be nice and patient with the lady, and she's like, "Do you have insurance?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, where's the card?" And I was like, "It's in my wallet, which is at home." I don't know. I was like, we literally rushed here. And she's like, "Well, we need to see your insurance card before we can." And I went like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to bleed all over this desk. Yeah. I need help now.
Yeah.
Please. I was in shock.
Yeah.
And I was so calm about it. And she looks at my arms. She goes, "Okay." She called the doctor, and they came out to get me. Like, I didn't want to be rude, but I was also like in a traumatic state of mind. I just wanted to be like, I didn't though.
But if you did that, then they're like, crazy
then I'm an asshole. Yes, big guys, crazy guy at the front,
No, it is crazy with that sometimes, though.
Hospitals are weird places, dude.
Oh, yeah, I would agree.
So many people come in there from all different walks of life.
And it's like one of the dirtiest places places you can go.
Yeah.
But they claim that it's super cleanly.
Well, I think the number one reason for emergency room visits is alcohol.
Yeah, I mean,
most of it's drug related. Alcohol, cocaine, and then marijuana, and then after that, it's other stuff.
Yeah,
injuries and cut off your fucking foot accidentally.
Yeah, whoops. Yeah, alcohol is and it's involved in like 90 or 95% of all crimes.
Oh yeah, dude,
so
that's the I don't give a fuck part of it, right? It's like, I'll go rob a store.
That's true, and also it's the only drug that increases violence.
Yeah,
like for your natural like tendencies.
I did a paper in college. It was a research paper. It was like a pull out of the hat type thing.
Yeah,
those are the best. I had like one of the best writing teachers ever. Just in that one semester, it changed my entire ability to write. And because we were doing like 5-paragraph essays, 2 of them for each class. So we're just writing all fucking day long, And it was always pull out of the hat.
Yeah.
And it was like persuasive, they call it, which is where it's like, okay, capital punishment. You have to make an argument for or against it.
Yeah.
You just have to be like, well, I don't know shit about capital punishment. So then you do a little research for like 30 minutes, and then you write a paper about it. I mean, we all know what capital punishment is. It's fucking killing people that, kill other people. The death penalty.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway.
You have to get your facts straight. And
Exactly.
In there.
But it wasn't necessarily about the facts. It was about the quality of the writing.
Gotcha.
Which was really cool.
And how persuasive you actually were
exactly.
to convince them.
Right. And but one of the ones that I had to do was alcohol and road accidents.
Okay.
And specifically motorcycle deaths. And so I did my little research.
Yeah.
And this one was not one of those persuasive essays. This was like a final or something that I did. It was like 8 pages long.
Gotcha.
And it turns out that alcohol is involved in like 90% of motorcycle deaths, and like 80% of motorcycle accidents are of the fault of the rider, are single person accidents. Like you missed the fucking curve, or it's the guy crashing into something and accidentally killing himself. It's not because of other people on the road.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. But alcohol is involved in a lot of that.
So you're saying like the car that crashes into the motorcycle, they were drinking? The guy? Sorry.
No, the rider of the motorcycle, the operator was drinking, and that's how he died. I mean,
it makes sense because it's, in a car, if you crash and you're drinking, it's still a lot safer. And you can, like, I crashed multiple times, like drinking and driving, and both times I hit into trees, but the one time it was like I hit into the tree, but right after that tree there was a cliff, so it's good I hit into the tree. It was like a 40-foot cliff, but still that's probably enough, right? To kill you.
40-foot fall.
Yeah, but
depending, but yeah,
but yeah. So it's just like, So you make a little mistake on a motorcycle, it's a lot worse than if you're in a car, right?
Yeah, I'm terrified of motorcycles.
Dude, I would never get it. My dad's told me so much horror stories of his friends that had motorcycles and then, they like fly 50 feet through the air or whatever. All this crazy stuff. Like, no thanks.
When I was in high school, there was like a rash of weird like deaths that happened. This one girl fell off a horse and died, broke her neck. But this kid who had just graduated, he was like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
He got a motorcycle at 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Which you should not be able to get a motorcycle till you're at least 30. Because it's so irresponsible of a vehicle to own.
But then no one would get motorcycles then.
Yeah.
Because by that time you're like, this isn't probably a good idea.
Yeah. After your brain fully develops at like 25 or 26, what were you saying? Your risk assessment, that risk assessment part of your
27
psyche doesn't actually start to come in until your late 20s.
Yeah. It doesn't fully develop to you're like 27, but probably depends on the person, 20, like that age. But it makes sense because people's 20s are usually just crazy because you're just going off emotions and you're just
can't make any responsible decisions at all.
No, it's I see all this stuff on Instagram and just about how in your 20s you should be saving all your money and all this. I'm like, who the fuck did that? Doing that? But like for real. And I know that there are people that do that and stuff, but then later on they eventually are going to act a fool for like 10 years. You have to, like, there's certain life stages and you have to go through them. You can't just cancel out your fun 20s and like what I'm saying, it catches up to you later. Like you're in your 50s and 60s and then you like get divorced and go to Vegas and go crazy.
I know.
So
at the end of that little thing I was saying was that this kid killed himself on his motorcycle at 20.
Yeah.
He hit the back of a semi at like 160 miles an hour and pulverized himself. I mean, there wasn't anything left of him. Yeah. And that happened. I was like 17 and I was like, okay, check that off the list. We ain't getting a motorcycle. So
that's terrifying.
But yeah, the life stage thing is a weird one, right? Like I love cars. Yeah. I love fast cars. Yeah. I have a fast car, and then I have my regular car. And I've done I've exceeded the speed limit in multiples before when I was 23.
Yeah.
Now?
No, fuck that.
We're doing 90. Yeah, slow down.
You got it. It's a different life stage. You have a kid. It's not just all about you, You can't just...
You don't recognize your own mortality until you have a child and realize that one day that kid is not going to have you.
Yeah.
So let's try to prolong that as far as possible.
I've already started thinking about that, and the baby's not even here yet, but it does, like, really make you put things in perspective. Like,
just wait till you see that little face.
But like, I'm already, like, so, like, in general, like, conscious of what I'm doing, like, what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then that just brings it to a whole nother level, right? Because now you got a kid that, like, depends on you and thinks that they look up, like, to you for everything you're doing, It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's still crazy to me.
Yeah. It's
like
nuts.
Braxton wrote a story at school.
Oh, yeah.
About this Father's Day.
Yeah.
When I took him to the Mets game with my mom. He drew pictures. He wrote the whole thing. It's like, my dad took me to the Mets game. They played against the Phillies and the Mets won. And I really love my dad so much. And I hope, I can't wait until he takes me again.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, man.
That kid loves me.
Yeah.
You don't really think about it. But it's like, I've read it, like his mom sent it to me, like some pictures of the little book he wrote, because he wasn't at my house. It was, she had it. So she sent me the pictures, and I was like, oh my God, why am I crying on a Tuesday morning? Because you feel, your children love you unconditionally.
And you love them unconditionally. It's just like this beautiful thing, like just talking about, like, Emily, it just makes me start to, like, tear up.
I know.
I even hear it. It's just,
I know,
like,
I can tell.
And it's, like, embarrassing, but it's like...
I still want to be embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
As soon as you become a dad, crying is just a natural thing. It just happens.
But what about those dads that, like, in the 40s, they never cried about anything? What's up with that?
Sociopaths. I have no idea. We cry in dark.
How could you?
We cry in dark corners where nobody can see us.
Yeah. And just like wipe it off. I'm good.
It's like, those videos of, like, the kid losing his mind when his dad just shows up from the military at, like, their basketball game or something like that. I can't watch those anymore.
Oh yeah, it
just turned into a mess because you associate it with your own child.
Yeah, the own experience.
Yeah. Or you associate it with your own experience. Yeah. Like, okay, my dad is a cyclist. He's been a cyclist for 40 years. And he used to do this ride called the Anchor House ride. Okay. It started in Canada, in Toronto, I think. And then they would ride their bikes over the course of 2 weeks in stages. They would ride about 100 miles a day. And so I didn't see my dad for 2 weeks. I was like 8 years old. Like, I fucking missed him so much,
Yeah.
And I remember, because what they used to do, the ride would finish at this big ceremony in the middle of the Quaker Bridge Mall near Trenton. It's in Mercer. It's near Princeton. Lose my train. Okay. So the ride ends at the Quaker Bridge Mall in the center, and they have a big ceremony and everything because it's all for charity. You pay like $500 per rider, and then they donate it to this Anchor House, it's called the Anchor House for Runaways.
Oh wow!
And it was in Trenton, right next to where I used to live in Trenton. They put all the bikes in the back of a rider truck, and the guys get on a bus and they drive up to Toronto, and then they ride back home for this charity.
That's awesome.
And I hadn't seen him for 2 weeks, and I knew that he was in the crowd because they literally ride the bikes into the mall, right? So all the guys are in all their gear. There's all these bikes in. It's like this big, crazy thing. And my mom brought me to the ceremony when the Anchor House ride ended. And I saw him for the first time in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I, like, ripped myself away from my mom, and I just fucking, like... Everybody in my way was just, and I just walked up to him and he just picked me up with one arm and held me up. And that is like a huge memory that I have of like missing this person that I just love so much, and just the elation of finally seeing him again. It was one of the most euphoric things ever.
Yeah.
So when Braxton runs up to me and he gives me a hug, he's like, "Dad, I love you." I'm like, yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Like, there have been times where kids are so intuitive. It's like he could tell this past year that I was going through it.
Yeah, for sure.
He told me he loved me 5,000 times a day. He'd come up to me, give me a hug. And the one time I was so in my head, I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't even thinking straight. And he did that. And I was sitting at the counter in the kitchen. Like, it didn't mean anything to him. He just wanted to tell his dad he loved him. But at that moment, I needed to know that, like, I was okay.
Yeah.
And he walked away, and I just put my head in my hands, and I was just like, I just started weeping openly. And then he, it's just that connection that you have with them. And that was like a stressful moment. But most of the times when it comes to kids, you start to get emotional for happy stuff. Yeah, you're so fucking proud of them for who they are. And it's unreal, man.
Yeah.
And then you have really terrible parents out there that fucking hate their kids. I love being a dad, so
yeah. No,
it took a lot for me to keep it together for that story about my dad. By the way,
I bet that's impressive. But what I was going to say about like talking about your own kid and like being proud of what they've done.
Yeah.
So this morning, Emily was kicking a little bit, and
that's cool.
And Monique's like, "Oh, put your hand there," and I actually felt not just like the feeling of a kick, but I actually felt her foot on my hand.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, and like she was just pressing on it, and I was like, okay. I was just like happy, like crying for a couple minutes.
Course.
And it's just like so cool. I'm like, she's such a strong kicker and all this kind of stuff like that.
You're gonna be
crazy.
You're gonna be going through so many emotions.
Yeah,
like the entire time. Like there's nothing routine about having a kid and what the feeling that you're gonna have and how you're gonna act and like
everything.
Things are constantly changing.
Yeah, every day it's just constant.
Yeah. So you're gonna go through so many varying emotions and feelings of happiness, and then you're also going to be like, am I doing this wrong? Like I can't get her to stop crying. Like am I a bad father? Like and then there was a couple of times with Braxton where he just would not stop, and it wasn't because I couldn't calm him down, it's because he was sick. And kids need 3 things: they need to shit, they need to eat, or they need to sleep for the first like year. And I couldn't calm him down, and all those 3 things weren't helping.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go to the bathroom, he didn't want to go to sleep, and he didn't want to eat. So now you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
Like, and the one time I had to walk away and let him cry, and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I had to close the door and walk away because you get filled with rage. Real rage.
Are you filled more with rage that you can't do your job? Instead of just the baby, you're like, why?
You're not mad at the baby.
Yeah, you're like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. And then and then some people end up throwing their baby against the wall.
Shaken baby syndrome has that name for that reason.
Yeah, so so that's interesting.
People shake their babies to death because they can't get them to shut up.
Yeah,
it's terrifying. Yeah, because you get so overwhelmed with this feeling of inadequacy and like you have a biological connection with that child. It's your responsibility to keep it alive at all costs, and you're failing at that in that moment. So you get overwhelmed with this rage. It's not towards the baby,
it's toward yourself.
But some people take it out on the baby. I had to walk away a couple times.
Like what makes me wonder is like, so the people that end up being like abusive to their own kids, like what is that? Is it because is it that same thing? They don't feel like that they're a good enough person or parent, and then they take it out on their kid, but not like they don't shake them to death, but they just instead over the years they just always taking it out on
prolonged thing. Yeah,
I don't know.
That feeling is so overwhelming. There's a story that I read a while ago, or heard it on like some true crime thing that I was into. This lady drowned her baby in the bathtub because it wouldn't shut up, and she killed the baby. That's how overwhelming that feeling is. So when that happens, just go outside. Punch a pillow. I had to do that a couple times.
It's almost like, from what you're describing, it almost seems like it's such an
it's impulsive.
Such an impulse.
Yes,
that
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, that it's like you said, it's just best. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But you should just take yourself out of this scenario before something gets escalated more.
It's okay to let them cry.
Yeah, you don't want to be in there. I can do this. I can do this, and then you're staying in there too long, and then you're feeling worse and worse and worse and more hopeless.
Yeah, like when you're if something breaks, you know how to fix it. You go to Home Depot, come home, put a hole in the wall, you fucking you know how to repair it.
Yeah.
Or you got to go change your oil, something breaks in your car, you know how to fix it. You're a problem solver. You fix things. You can't fix a baby that won't stop crying. And that sense that you need to fix that you can't fix it, that's probably where the feeling that comes from. You just feel so helpless in that moment.
Yeah,
you know?
Because you can't do anything about it.
Braxton had night terrors for about 6 months. And I was very concerned about it because those feelings started to come back again. He was like 18 months old. It was like a year and a half. He's bigger now. You know, he's not a little infant. He's not 8 pounds anymore. He's, Braxton was like 20 pounds by the time he was like 3 months old. That kid was.
Oh, wow. That's a big boy.
He was wearing like year-old stuff when he was like 6 months.
Yeah, he's still like a solid kid.
Well, now but now he's a boy. He's not a little baby anymore.
That's true.
But he was getting night terrors.
Okay.
And I was all alone. You know, I was a single dad. I had to figure this out on my own now.
Yeah.
And I had to develop a way to control my emotions because it's not about me. It's about making sure that he's comfortable.
Yeah.
So what I would do when he would get these night terrors, and night terrors are freaky, dude, because you look into their eyes and there's nothing there. It's totally blank. And I remember what I would do is I would put both of his legs around my waist, and then I would hold him as tight as possible on my chest and just rub his back. And he's just, he can't talk. He's only 18 months old. He doesn't know how to talk.
Like, why don't they wake up from that? Like,
I don't know. It's like they're blacked out. And then he would calm down, and then he would they're profusely sweating too, by the way, while this is going on.
They're just like moving around.
Yeah, their body is going through something. I don't know what, and then I remember when it first happened, I felt him his body relax. And then he was laying on me, and then he sat up and he just looked at me. I was like, "You okay, buddy?" This is 2:00 in the morning, you know. I pick him up, put him back in his bed, and I went back to sleep. But that happened probably half a dozen times, and I had to learn how to deal with it, you know.
Yeah, so, that sounds like just terrifying, and just I would just feel so upset about the whole thing because it's
it is upsetting.
Going through that pain, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. And so I'm not saying this so that you're fearful. I'm just saying that there are going to be circumstances that are completely out of your control with the baby that you have no choice but to address.
Yeah, and that's the main priority.
Well, look, you can't go to the gym today.
Yeah.
We have to go to the doctor. Yeah. I'm sorry. Everything about that kid for the first few years it's all about them.
Yeah, it has to be because those are the years that he's developing. And if you're selfish and you're just trying to do your own thing, and it's not really the time for you to do your own thing. It's more of the time to just be there for your kid.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, then they're going to be messed up or they could be messed up for life. Because that's, Jordan Peterson talks about it, pretty much who you are personality wise is developed by 4 or 5 or something. Mm-hmm. And you can switch that obviously, but your general personality is who you are at 5, and it doesn't really change from that.
Yeah, I think that video was really good. He says you have little kids for 4 years.
Yeah,
because then they go off to school. And they have friends, and then so those first 4 years are big.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you instill whatever discipline and whatever expectations you have for your child.
For the future.
Starting at 6 months, dude.
Yeah, you don't wait till oh, well, now you have to take on this more responsibility. No, you say these are things that, these are good values. And this is what we do in this household.
Exactly.
And then they know, because a lot of these parents, they don't want to tell their kids that they ever do anything wrong. So the kids don't know whenever they're doing something right or wrong. So they just do whatever.
If you're 1 year old,
crazy.
1 is maybe a little early. I would say maybe 2. You need to instill the discipline in them young, and don't ever lie to your kid, even at 2.
Yeah.
Don't say you can't have candy.
How about Santa Claus?
Okay, that's fine. Braxton's almost there. But
besides Santa Claus.
At like 2 years old, if you say to the kid, you can't have candy, and then they cry and they whine, they bitch, and they fall on the floor,
and you
give it to them?
No.
Nope. You know what you do? You walk away.
You just rewarded bad behavior.
We're rewarding bad behavior. Why is so many fucked up adults in this world? Is because we reward bad behavior.
Yeah, 100%.
And
they think they can do that outside in the real world, not just in the family context.
Yeah.
Because when you're growing up, family context is a huge part of your reality. And if you think that that's normal, whatever just functions, and then you go out into the real world, and then the real world's going to say, like, gonna check you, say, what is wrong with you?
You can just pout and cry, and I'll give you more money for doing nothing. You're doing the same job you've been doing for the last 2 years. You want to be paid more for?
But if you did more, then maybe you would get. But it's just
get a raise. Yeah,
but dude, that's so rampant nowadays.
I know,
especially like, not to be like rude or anything, but to the younger kids out there, they are so spoiled. It just gets worse every generation, I think.
I think all previous generations say the same thing about the generations that are ahead of them.
But it's so true.
You know. But one last thing I was going to say about that, we don't have to talk about kids anymore. You're going to be a great dad. You're going to be just fine. And but there was one time, and I do not condone hitting children ever.
Yeah.
I was never hit. My mom spanked me one time because I broke a window. She's like, I think I have to hit you now. She didn't want to, but she was like, I have to do something.
This is what
I still remember that, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, she said she cried for 3 days after she did that. She felt so terrible because I cried, like wailing crying.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm never going to do that again. She thought she was supposed to do it. So
it's true. Like, my mom thought the same thing, and
that was the one time I ever got hit.
I just honestly think that, especially if you're doing that a lot, it kind of teaches the kid that if somebody does something wrong, then the answer to that is violence. And that doesn't seem to be a good way to teach a kid.
Or the kid knows if they're bad, they're going to get hit, but they've been hit so many times that it doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Well, that's scary.
So they're like, well, my dad's going to ground me, or hit me or whatever. Mom's going to break out the wooden spoon, but I'll take a licking for this one, you know.
So used to it. Yeah.
So I'll just go be bad. I'll go be a bad kid, and then I'll get punished for it later. But at least I had fun while I had my fun, you know.
Because you're going to get hit either way.
Yeah.
You're going to find something that you did wrong.
Yeah. So
that happens all the time for sure.
But this one time I wanted to say about the discipline thing and hitting kids. I do not condone that at all. I wasn't hit. I don't condone it. I think that mental connection with the kid and developing respect for you as the parent is more important than punishing them in a juvenile way for being bad. So this one time,
100%.
Braxton was in this weird mode where when he would get angry, would hit me on my butt, right? He would just go wham, right? And it was always a joke. Yeah. It was always a joke. Oh, don't do that, you know, because, whatever. It was just funny. And then he stopped doing it. But he was in this weird, like, I'm upset, so I'm going to hit. Like, he wouldn't get his way, and then he would hit.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was always funny when he did it, because he wasn't being a bad kid. He was just like, Dad, I need your attention, you know?
Yeah.
It was an attention-getting thing, so it was kind of fun.
He wasn't, like, doing it really hard, just, like, kind of...
No, it's like, yo, pay attention to me.
Yeah. Like, okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm like, what? What do you want? Sorry. But anyway, he was in this weird mode where he would get angry, and I could see him, like, seething, and he would hit. And we pulled into Health Quest. He did not want to go to the gym. Yeah. He did not want to go into the daycare. He was, like, 3 probably, maybe 2.5. And... we got out of the car. He did not want to go. And he was still in the full seat, you know, like it looks like a race car seat.
Yeah.
And I unbuckled him and I pulled him out because that's what we're doing. We're going to the gym. I'm not sitting at home all day with you, you know? And so, and Daddy needs his mental clarity for the rest of the day. So I got to go burn off some energy, and then we can, whatever.
Yeah.
And he always liked being in there, but this one particular day, he did not want to go.
Yeah.
And he got out of the car and hit me, because he was mad.
Yeah.
And I looked at him in the eyes and I said, if you hit me again, I'm going to hit you back. And he took that as a challenge.
Yeah, of course he did.
So he reared back and hit me as hard as he could.
Yeah.
And I just, I swatted his arm.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't hit him on the butt, nothing like that. I went wham, and a smack does not feel good at all. And what happened? Bawling his eyes out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I said, I told you if you hit me again, I was going to hit you back. And I did. So don't do that. From that day, it never happened again.
Yeah.
It wasn't a punishment thing. It was I told you what I'm going to do if you continue this, and I did it. So
yeah,
when daddy doesn't lie.
That's why I don't say, I'm going to kill you.
But it was like a lesson for him. He needed to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
Because it's not okay to hit dad.
Yeah, and kids are always going to try to see, like you said, do it again, see what happens. But they're still going to push because they need to see where the boundary is. And if you never create a boundary, then they'll just do whatever the fuck they want. And then you're going to be like, why is my kid an animal?
Right. And now what I've created, I'm saying his mom, she's a great mom too. But through that, he's such a good kid.
Yeah.
Because it was instilled in him when he was younger.
And that there's limits.
That there are limits, and if you want something, you have to ask permission. And he just became a great kid.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what kind of an adult he becomes.
He's such a well-behaved kid, and he's well-behaved, but also he's just a fun kid.
He listens.
Around.
He likes being around the bros, or hanging out. He just
for sure.
Remember when we went to the races?
Yeah.
We were just hanging out.
Yeah.
We had such a great time. He loves that shit.
Yeah, he's great.
Anyway, what's your goal for 2023?
Okay, yeah, I actually wrote a couple down in my notebook.
I don't know how much longer you want this to go. I'm fine, but we can just keep going. And
we'll probably stop in a second.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to ask you that because you asked me.
Yeah. So my goals, the one is to bench press 405 at some point in the year. I got 360, recently.
Nice.
But I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes because now it seems like it's getting kind of heavy.
Yeah, you need to do more. Well, I don't know what you do after you.
More reps.
Yeah. More high weight, high intensity reps, 8 sets of 3 with 330.
Yeah, that's what 10 by 10, Charles Poliquin's kind of stuff.
That one's crazy.
Yeah. But not 10 by 10.
That's a great
10 by 3, I mean.
10 by 3, yeah. Yeah, because when you're going for a 1 rep maximum, and that's the goal, you're not going to train 12s. You know what I mean? You're not going to do 12. Maybe you do it to burn out at the end of the workout, but you're not.
You're training max strength.
You're training maximum strength for 1 repetition.
Muscle mass. Because that's what I was trying to do, more muscle mass, but I kind of want to do both to some extent.
You'll hit 405.
Yeah.
Oh, I still think you already have it, but
no, definitely not. But maybe I have the muscle mass for it, but the neural part that has to get better. Like you're talking about. But yeah, and then my other goal, I don't even know if I'm gonna put these in here, but
whatever.
Yeah, so my other goal is to maintain a GPA of 3.5 or above, because right now it's at 3.83.
Awesome.
So yeah, and
you should totally keep it in. You're talking about your fucking goal. You can be vulnerable a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah. And then my last goal, I guess, would be this is actually the most important goal, and not really a goal, but just to be the best husband and dad that I can be in this coming year and from years to the past. But I put it down on here, and I just wanted to say that that's obviously the main priority, because if you don't keep your family structured together and you're just chasing all these other things that are outside of it, and ignoring the core components, then everything eventually deteriorates. So
it takes a lot of dedication and responsibility to that, and you have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're talking about benching. My friend messaged me earlier because I posted a story on Instagram of today. He's like, "God damn! I remember when you couldn't even bench 225."
Yeah.
There was a time when I couldn't even bench 135. Right?
Yeah,
and
true.
I hit 325 today, PR.
Nice. That's your most ever done?
Ever. Well, I hit 335 on a fat pad, Thompson fat pad, like 2 years ago at Chiseled.
That's what I remember. That's
not a lot, but this is
why don't you count that?
I guess I could count it.
Yeah, just count
it. Fine, I'll count it. But this was like on an Alico, official bench, and it was a grinder, but I did it, and I never thought that I'd be able to do that. So,
yeah.
But
the mind's powerful.
I think you got 405. Oh, the reason I mentioned that is because you said the neural thing.
Yeah. The mind.
That's what I went through today. I've never done this before. Man, this is going to be hard. And I ripped those smelling salts and nothing mattered anymore. And I just went for it. But you get these butterflies in your brain. You start thinking to yourself, man, I've never done this. I'm about to do something that I've never done before.
It's exciting.
And it's so exciting. It's also terrifying at the same time, which is, I think, the reason why we do this, because it's...
Yeah, am I going to get it? Am I not? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Oh,
maybe.
You pussy, just do it. And then sometimes you fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get it.
I want to say that, like, anyone that struggles with alcoholism, the gym is a great place to go. Because just of that, stimulation and not knowing and this kind of excitement, but it's positive, there's nothing negative about it.
A lot of the people that go to the gym are there because of that. They needed a new addiction. They have an addictive personality, so they just needed to, now they're just addicted to being healthy.
Yeah, that's
and strong.
100%. And I know other people like, our friend Martin.
Oh, yeah.
That, he goes to Health Quest sometimes. I actually wanted to get him on the show at some point, too, to talk to him.
You should, yeah.
Because he has a good story.
A great story.
Yeah. And it's crazy because a lot of times, like, if you have an alcohol problem right now, like, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't, like, it's bad, but just know that if you can deal with that, you can take that pain and put it towards something good, and really, like, make something meaningful instead of just hurting yourself.
When you become positively obsessed with something, it's great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with all the workout goals, like, I'm excited. The 405.
We got to get you to do a meet.
Yeah.
Just squat and deadlift whatever you feel comfortable with, and then break a state record.
All right.
In the bench.
Deal.
That's what Mike did.
Okay.
Mike sandbagged all of his lifts because he had just done a meet.
Yeah, I would love to break a state record.
He did 2 meets back to back, week to week.
Yeah.
But in order for the state record to count, he had to do the deadlift and the squat.
Gotcha. Yeah, he had to do a full meet.
Because he wanted to break the state record in bench press, which he did, 413 pounds, which is just...
what weight was he, 220? Or was it
198.
198. So that's crazy.
Which is unreal at a bench to do twice your body weight.
He's a benching machine.
He's built for it, man. And but in order for the record to count, he had to squat and deadlift. So he just pulled like 405 and then like squatted like 450 or something like that.
Yeah,
something that he knew
not like his craziest.
Because his total at the meet that we did in December was a 550 squat, 403 bench, and I want to say he deadlifted 540.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was last December, 2021, not this past December.
Yeah.
It'll be January tomorrow. Not 3 weeks ago. But when he did the meet with Anthony in May, he was lighter. Yeah. Because in order to break the state record, he had to be lighter. So he didn't weigh 220 at the meet, he weighed 200.
Yeah.
Because the state record is in the 200-pound class, not the 220 class. So he cut like 20 pounds of weight, so his lifts were a little lower. But the point was that bench record.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And he benched more at a lighter weight. He only benched 403 or 405, whatever it was, at 220.
Yeah.
And then benched 413 at 198 pounds, which
that's impressive.
For anybody, it's mass moves mass, right?
Yeah.
So the lighter you are, generally speaking, the weaker you're going to be.
Yeah, even if it's fat, it can make you stronger.
Oh yeah,
because it's
that guy Ray
crazy.
Williams.
Oh yeah.
Megatron, I think is his name on Instagram.
Yeah,
he's like almost 400 pounds. He's a fat guy.
Yeah, he has some muscle on there, obviously. But
obviously, because he can squat over 1,000 pounds and benches like 650, which is a feat in and of itself. I mean, that is just it's shit that and most mortal humans will never touch. And the guy is an absolute monster. But he's got to be 400 pounds. You have to be 400 pounds to be able to move that kind of.
Yeah, there's a certain there's a certain limit for sure. Like you're not going to be 200 lifting 600. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever done that.
Wait, say that again. What did you just say?
I'm sorry. If someone was like 200 pounds, like bench pressing 600 raw, I don't think so. No, but maybe raw. With the shirts and stuff. But raw, like.
Well, geared lifting used to be really popular. Now it's not anymore. Everybody lifts raw.
Yeah,
but true. It's still a small portion of the people. Like, but as an example, Mark Bell. Yeah, his biggest bench ever.
Okay, this would be a good contrast.
With a shirt on, bench pressing shirt.
Yeah,
was 860 pounds.
Wow.
His biggest raw bench at that same time in his life was like 485.
What?
Or no, five something. It was like 530 or something like that.
That's a huge difference. I know, like the first guy to bench press.
300-pound difference just because of that shirt.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I was about to say, like the first guy to bench press 1,000 pounds, Gene Ryslack, who's now dead. He died a couple of years ago. He bench pressed 1,000 pounds with the shirt on, but like raw it was like 700, which is still like insane. So that's just like 700 pounds. Like
I know that's ridiculous. I would, I've always thought to myself, all right, my total's pretty good, pretty strong. I wonder what I could squat in a suit. Would everything go up like 30%?
Yeah.
Like if I can squat 500 pounds, could I squat like 7 in a squat suit?
I think if you squat like, let's say,
that
what's
sounds
your max?
Crazy.
What's your max?
500.
So
I can't hit 500 tomorrow, but
with a suit on, you squat like 600.
Probably
600.
right.
I don't know about 700.
I think bench press would help me more. That bench press shirt.
Yeah, because like if your back's really strong, you can just row it back, and then it's just a spring at the bottom. So you just have to get your triceps strong, because it's always just like there's a spring right here. So off the bottom, it's actually really quick. But then once you're almost at lockout, that's the problem. Because you're like,
have you worn one?
No, I've never worn one, but I just heard of what other people have said.
Yeah, it gives you like it physically doesn't allow your shoulders to go back any further. So you kind of like lean into it.
Yeah.
So there's no eccentric. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're supporting the weight up here, but as soon as it goes down, it gets lighter at the bottom. Yeah. Because you're being supported by this exo suit.
And that kind of helps too, especially like when you have to do pause, because it's not really that hard right there.
Yeah, you're just
like a compound bow, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's like loaded.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
It's ready to go.
Way to look at it, yeah.
And then it springs off.
Yeah.
So, and those types of things like the sling bench thing.
Slingshot.
Yeah, that seems like I got one. I think that seems like a good idea to use once.
Well, I want to try that.
Yeah.
For okay, so I did 325, right? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe with the slingshot, I could hit like 300 for like 2 or 3. And then,
definitely.
And then maybe it would actually increase my maximum 1 rep because I'm moving that heavier weight.
Your mind's more used to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with like even you can like lock out a weight, lock out. Let's say you hold like just 350 for like 10 seconds and then put it back. So like next time when you bring out 300, you can do that and then like rest like 3 to 5 minutes. So you're fully rested.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect you anymore, but your neural like excitement's up a little bit more. So you can get more in, you can recruit more motor units. Mm-hmm. So the next time so now you put like 300 on, it feels like nothing, right?
Yeah.
You can do like maybe 1 more rep or a little heavier.
It's like, okay, so today my workout was, I didn't expect to do that, but I was feeling frisky, so I did it. I went for it. I got it. And then I went back down to 53 and did like 3 sets of 5, which I can't really do that.
Yeah.
If I just went up to 250 and tried to do 3 sets of 5, I wouldn't be able to do it. But since I was 60 pounds higher than that just a couple minutes ago, it moves easier. So you're still doing the same work, but your perception of the weight is different because you've already been up here and now you're here.
For sure.
Instead of just gradually going up to that point
and then stopping,
you go past it and then you come back.
I think it usually works way better, and it doesn't have to be like a crazy, doesn't have to be like 100% max. It could be like a 90% max.
Yeah.
And that still like gives you and then you go back and like you said, like it's easier to hit like that amount of reps or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really
interesting.
It's really interesting. And so I did that. I was going to say with the 405 with you, we should do an assisted eccentric with 405. Yeah. So unrack it, and then I'll spot you.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the bottom, we'll just pick it up off your chest.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
We can have 2 people on the sides too, right? And then once you get to the bottom, you're going to press, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's only going to feel like maybe 250 or something like that because we'll just lift the weight off you.
Yeah.
But you can do an eccentric with the 405 because the gravity's going to help you, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to push it.
No.
But you can at least support the weight so that way in your mind, you know that your frame, your muscles, your body can support that.
Yeah.
It's like doing a rack pull. Like I could do like a 685 pound rack pull. I can't deadlift 685 pounds though.
Yeah.
But I know that my body can support that weight. Now it's just a matter of getting it off the ground. I'll probably never deadlift 700 pounds.
That'd be crazy.
But I do want to do 600, which I think I'm capable of right now.
Is that the goal for this year?
But that's the neural thing.
Yes.
I don't want to try it today. I don't know. So I have to pick like a day that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So like with you, with the bench, I think that's a good idea. I think we should do a eccentric with some heavier weight.
That'd be sick.
And it would be this is an old thing to say, but before I ever squatted as much as I have, I used to do box squats.
Yeah.
So that I didn't have to support the weight at the bottom. And I remember I was doing like 495 for like sets of like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I knew that I knew that my body could support the weight, but without that bench at the bottom supporting me sitting down with it, there's no way I was going to stand back up with it. You know? But I was training my body to be used to supporting that weight, and it helped me get over the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, I forgot about. Well, you never forget about box squats, but it's an interesting tool to use.
Well, guys that lift in gear use box squats because it mimics the behavior of what the suit does.
Yeah, but it's still like
because you sit into the suit in the same way that you sit into the pad.
Yeah, but do you think it's helpful for like someone that doesn't use a suit or because of the heavier weights?
Yeah, probably,
but not as useful. Obviously.
But Louis Simmons was obsessed with box squatting.
Yeah,
that was like his primary squatting was box squats.
Yeah, no, I remember.
But he trained geared lifters, not raw lifters. So I mean, mainly geared lifters.
Yeah.
So it's a different philosophy because you're using equipment. It's a different movement.
And also, you like when you use the equipment, you're using heavier weight, but because there's so much supportive stuff, you recover actually quicker.
Yeah.
So like they could do more workouts and stuff like that.
They used to max out every week.
Yeah.
What?
They're nuts, but it worked.
It worked. And I maxed out today, but like I usually will go, if I'm going to bench, the heaviest I'll go is like 285.
Yeah.
For like a single, and then I'll do like 250. So as a ratio of like my capability, that's probably only about 75. Or you want to train in that 70 to 90% range.
Yeah.
And you want to undulate that as you go, right? So that you can like progressive overloading, right? That's the philosophy. That's what I use because it helps me tremendously. It's like you're going to go up and then you're going to come down a little, you're going to dip down a little bit, and then you're going to go up a little harder than the first time for 8 weeks or so. Yeah. And then you're going to test your strength at week 9. And then you're going to rest for that following through. Well, not rest, but you're going to do like 6. You're going to be in the 60 to 70% range.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is interesting because, like you said, anything less than 70%, like once you're lifted for a while, is kind of, it doesn't do much. But there's certain things it can do, right? So, like for like not so much max strength, but for getting more blood in the muscles and stuff like that, which can help with recovery and
sometimes those high-end reps at the end of the workout are actually what's going to build the size of your muscle. Those are the size builders.
Yes, because like everything else is already like all your muscle fibers have been like stressed so much. Yeah. So then sometimes when you push high rep, it activates certain motor units that usually aren't activated. Exactly. Unless like super stressed out to like, okay, activate this guy even though he hasn't been doing anything for a while.
So if I do like a typical squat, bench, or deadlift workout, and I do all my working sets, and my highest working set will be like on like a squat will be like maybe 350, like 3 sets of 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And some weeks it'll be like 405 for 6 sets of 2. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But if I put 275 on the bar at the end of the workout, which is like, that's just warm-up weight.
Yeah.
And I try to do 10 reps, I would have failed before I even get to like 8 because I'm trashing my muscles at that point.
Yeah.
Even though the weight is lower, I'm doing more repetitions of it.
Yeah, it's like you said, everything's like fried already.
Yeah, you're totally fucking gassed.
Like if you do it in the beginning of the workout versus doing that, it's like the difference could be like 50%. Out of reps or
like today I did the single, and then I did the 4 sets of 5, 250, and I put like 190 on the bar. And I tried to do 2 sets of 10. I couldn't do it.
Wow, that shows that you're actually working out to the maximum of what you should be,
to the apex of my energy level.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the 185, I got like I did 10, and then I got to like 6 on the second set, and I was like, fuck this, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah, when it drops that drastically from set to set, it's like...
But that's the theory of literally going to failure.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally failure.
I think, I don't know, I'm of that, like, class that thinks that that's the way to go.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you have to do that sometimes. I don't get these people that are saying, like, no failure. Like,
I think that's crazy. I don't mean, and I think people have a weird perception of what you mean when you say failure.
Yeah, that's true.
Go until you have expended all of your available energy for that day. We're not, you just deadlifted 300 pounds yesterday. We're not going to put 500 pounds in the bar. You can't do it. You're going to fail. That's not that kind of failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think when people think failure, they think that you have to like, you're trying to max out and increase the weight every time. But that's not the point. Failure means your energy level of failure. And you should only fail with like 50%. You don't want to be failing with like 90% weight because you're going to fail hard. I mean, shit, dude, if I tried to squat 405 for 10, I'm going to fail at that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'll probably fall over before I get to like 5, or I might be able to eke out a 6th one, but I'm not going to do 10. I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
That's the wrong kind of failure.
Gotcha.
Because you're trying to do something that you're just not capable of.
Yeah.
You're capable of, like today, I only got to 6 on the second one, but it was only 185 pounds. But that's real muscle failure.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the energy left anymore. You're done.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like, so most people, that's why they need more sets, because it's hard mentally to reach failure in one set.
And that's why bodybuilders train at like lighter weight with high reps, right? They do like sets of 15 and 20.
Yeah. Because like it's really, because like the first, you can like be having hard sets, but every set you do, especially for like bodybuilding stuff, which is kind of what I do more of. But yeah, like it's kind of boring, but the pump's better. Like, because sometimes like you want to just like go all in the first set, but if you do that for bodybuilding, then you're like, you're just trashed, and then it's hard
with bodybuilding, the idea is to tear those muscles just to make them bigger. Yeah, not necessarily to make them stronger, but to make them bigger.
Yeah, so that's the point. Cause a lot of damage every time.
Yes.
So it's more just about just beating the crap out of your muscles every time compared to,
like, if you put a bodybuilder and a powerlifter next to each other, you'd be looking at two drastically different people.
Yeah.
But the powerlifter is going to be way stronger than that bodybuilder.
Usually. Because it's weird to get like, we're going to say that I'm going to go with you.
We're not talking about Ronnie Coleman. He's a freak.
Yeah, there's freaks that are super strong, like powerlifter strong, but also have the muscle
power building, they call it. Right? Yeah. But
no, I agree. Like it's just totally different. And I love like pushing it to a limit, but I also want to gain muscle. So like, so I'm trying to do both to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But you can only really focus on one, like.
Yeah. So like training to be strong for a competition, the whole goal is to be strong. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
Training to be big for a bodybuilding show is aesthetic, right? So the whole point is symmetry and size and making sure that your delts match your lats and your lats match your abs and your glutes match your thighs, right? Yeah, everything has to be symmetrical.
It's an art form, and that's why I like it, because I've always done art since I was a kid, and now it's like I can kind of do that. Though I'm not like super lean and stuff, but I'm still like building the sheet and stuff. But it's fun.
It's like what Arnold said in what's that movie?
Benign.
I think my brain power is decreasing rapidly.
It's okay, me too.
He said you treat your body like a sculpture.
Yeah.
And if you need more delts, you take some more clay and you put some more clay on the delts.
Yep.
We're building a statue here. So if you need more upper pec, you just take some clay and you put the clay on the upper pec.
Yep.
And that's how we treat bodybuilding. But that's why it's so insane to me, because like I don't think about like the size of my like lower pec and my I just want to be strong. So if I had to concentrate on like, okay, today I'm going to work like just these two muscles, right? And then the next day I'm going to work just like, you're going to isolate all these things.
Yeah, it's just back one day.
Today I'm building my back. Tomorrow I'm building my shoulders. The next day I'm building my hamstrings and my glutes, I don't know if I would be able to do it.
It's funny because that's how I trained like both powerlifting and I've done Olympic lifting kind of stuff for like a year and powerlifting, but most I've done is like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I like that because for me, I'm able to just like my mind is able to go into the muscle and just like be there, and
that's cool.
And it's just cool, just like almost like inner peace kind of thing.
I guess I never looked at that. It's like you have like a relationship with like
the muscle,
your body in that way.
Yeah, so you're like connecting with it.
Mind
it's like,
muscle connection.
Yeah, so it's like. Yeah, so for me, it's that connection that I get with my own body, and we like communicate. And it's totally different from powerlifting. But what I love about powerlifting is the ability to express just your total strength, like, Yeah, we're probably gonna stop.
No, I wanted to make sure it was still going.
No, it's okay.
But like you said, like with powerlifting, the whole goal is strength because that's what you get judged on. But yeah, the whole point, like you have two people that are in the gym we're in the same place with the same goals.
Yeah.
But the end game is drastically different. One is to be as strong as possible. The other one is to be as symmetrical and build as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting. You know, that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you got like people like Olympic lifters too.
Yeah,
and
that's different.
You got people doing, plyometrics, like sports training stuff.
That guy Craig, he does mainly Olympic lifting. He's kind of transferred into power lifting, and I'm trying to get him to do a meet. But so when you bring it up to here, and then you do like a split and push it over your head. What's that called?
Jerk?
Clean and jerk.
Yeah.
He did a 335-pound clean and jerk.
Oh wow, that's
a couple
crazy.
years. So I was like, I could not imagine putting 330 pounds on my chest, much less I'll put it on my back.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to push it over my head.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
That is crazy.
It's so impressive.
That's nuts because that means that his deadlift, like usually you deadlift, it depends, but a lot of people will deadlift like 650 pounds if they had a 325-pound clean and jerk because they usually can do like half the amount for the clean.
Yeah.
But
it's like
that's crazy.
Ripping it off the ground and then catching it with your shoulders and your chest in a squatted position, and then you have to squat that weight up and stand there and then throw it over your head.
I've done 250 when I weighed like 180. But yeah, it's some crazy stuff.
It's really crazy.
But it doesn't build like any muscle. So like I did that for a whole year and like I looked exactly the same, but I was getting really explosive and stuff. But
yeah, well, that's one of the side effects of strength only training is that you're getting stronger, but your muscles are physically getting stronger, but they're not getting any bigger.
Yeah, so it's like, what is the point? Because for me, I have to like.
Yeah, you like the visual aspect. Obviously, we all do.
Yeah.
I like the visual aspect of looking like a strong guy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just a side effect of the the whole reason. But anyway,
all right,
that was a good one.
Thanks for listening to Alternatives to AA. If you would like to contact us directly, please shoot us an email at alternatives2aa2021@gmail.com. We also hope that you continue to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. You can watch us live on YouTube. You can subscribe to us that way as well. You can leave us a 5-star rating and follow us on Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, we ask that you please leave a rating and an honest review.
We'll see you next week. Bye.